The long-awaited return of the Thought Buffet doesn't come with a fancy opening, mainly because what we're about to talk about requires no fanciness. It actually requires absolutely no pomp and circumstance because, quite frankly, most of what this gentleman who just passed away did throughout his lifetime was spreading hate, was actually spreading a grand, large message, a blanket message, if you will, of hate and condemnation. Most of you already know that Fred Phelps, who is the founder of the Westboro Baptist Church, a hate group that's centered in Kansas, passed away this past week. And most of you, I'm sure, are wondering why I'm deciding to poke this with a stick or talk about it at all. It's one of those things where sometimes you have to be the bigger man and just kind of not give the troll the attention it deserves. And believe me, this is basically a church that's full of nothing more than about 40 or 50 trolls, all depending on how many they've excommunicated. There's a reason why I have to do this, and that's because here in the Thought Buffet, we not only examine all of the things that go on in our day-to-day life, we also do so with a very, very fresh and strange worldview, one that perhaps would not be undertaken, one that perhaps may not be, thought about by the conventional human being, something that actually spurns a little bit of conversation, something that actually spurns a little bit of discussion and debate. And all I have to say, if this is something that gains the attention of the aforementioned group, what are you going to do? Are you going to picket my videos? Go right ahead, because all you're going to do is basically do what I'm doing for you, which is give me attention. Fred Phelps' message has had a lot of different implications. It's been one that has been universally against one thing, and it's been based around three simple words. God hates fags. This has been essentially what it's been all about. Basically preaching hatred toward the homosexual and the LGBT community for reasons that Lord only gives a fuck about, because I certainly don't. I don't care why this message began. Quite frankly, I could give a fuck less about the research. The Thought Buffet right here doesn't exactly give two shits why Mr. Fred Phelps decided to begin his message. But there is something that does need to be said about this on both sides. And that's something that needs to be understood by all who are viewing this video. This is something that's examining both sides of the coin. And by this, I don't necessarily mean why Fred Phelps is right and why Fred Phelps is wrong, because Fred Phelps is just a dick. No one gives a crap. But it's actually all about what the message has done that has been hateful and what the message has done that has actually been good. That's right. I just said it. This message that has been so terrible, this message that has been protested and picketed outside of funerals, outside of mass graves, school shootings, that has been, targeted at people such as former President Ronald Reagan, Princess Diana, Reggie White, many individuals, Heath Ledger is another one, and, beloved actors, beloved people that basically are in the media's eye, people that basically would get the Westboro Baptist Church attention. Are you sensing the trend here? This is all attention-seeking. That's all that it is. This is really a lot of attention-seeking, but it's attention-seeking that's all based around a hateful message, a wrong message, a bigotous message that should not really have gotten the opportunity to do what it did. But guess what? It did, and it has two effects. The first side is the hateful side. The first side is the fact that this is a hateful, terrible message, one that does not really preach the inclusion that A, the Christian faith really is all about, or B, something that America is all about. If America is truly all about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, there's nothing in there that says that you have to have your life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness in a heterosexual relationship or a homosexual relationship. Maybe I'm bleeding my own personal opinion in there a little bit, but that be saying, this is something where First Amendment rights only go so far. However, it is something that is in the Constitution. However, why that is, and some of the other things are not, that's a question for another day. Because of this, Fred Phelps and his group, the Westboro Baptist Church, were able to go to these different locations and preach this message. Now it's time to talk about the good that this has actually done. While this has defamed tons of individuals, while this has truly probably brought a lot of sorrow and a lot of just, difficult conversations, difficult moments, lots of tears, lots of bad feelings. This is also something where, if you take a look around here in 2014, we have numerous states that have already passed laws that have allowed for same-sex unions or same-sex marriages. We now have a lot of people discussing this topic. This is something that is a hotbed of information and a hotbed of discussion, whether it be online or whether it be in person. These two worlds that we now have that merge together as one sometimes. This is something where it is almost like a launch pad for these rights to really be re-examined here on the American landscape. This is something that was perhaps talked about and discussed in the underbelly of American politics and, the American legality system throughout the course of America's existence. However, this is one that here, 2014, in the 20-teens, where it has really gotten its biggest push and where it has gotten and experienced some of its largest successes. Am I attributing this 100% to Fred Phelps and the Westboro Baptist Church? Hell no. Giving them credit for that would be an insult to all of the progress made by this group, by the LGBT community. That would be an insult. That would absolutely be a horrible thing to even think or to even say. However, it has given more people the ability to raise their voice. This outrage over these protesters, this outrage over these men and women, and their hateful message toward real-life people. These aren't people that are just, planted in for media coverage. Real people. People who passed away. People who died. Soldiers. Friends. Family. This is something that has caused those voices that perhaps were previously silenced now to no longer be silenced and actually join together in force. Something where this group has now demanded and basically hoped peacefully for their rights to be recognized, and they are beginning to, state by state, one step at a time. Fred Phelps is a horrible man. The Westboro Baptist Church are one of those groups where you almost wish that some crazy suicide bomber from a long, far-away terrorist cell would just find their message appalling and destroy them all, right there in the church. Poetic justice, fitting for all of the people who passed away, whose funerals they attempted to ruin with their message of hate. You just kind of wish that they would just blow the building up with all of them inside. But this group has certainly given a lot of people an avenue to open their mouths, an avenue to raise their voice, and an avenue to get this gross wrong. This is a gross wrong that these individuals have not been given really equal standing as citizens whenever it comes to what they choose to do with their love life, what they choose to do with their lives, period. It has definitely given a lot of legs to this. It has definitely made it something where it is discussed more, and because of that, reform is coming, change is coming, and with that comes a lot of resistance from a lot of different organizations, a lot of different groups, a lot of different sections of people, sections of the country that need to understand that the times of old are done. The times that your ancestors had enjoyed, where if you were white and American, and preferably male, you were on easy street. That time is over. That time is done. Fred Phelps' death will be nothing more than an asterisk on society in general. His group will be nothing more than just this sham of a attention-seeking group of padded room fucks that are able to get away with what they can get away with, based around the fact that they know the law, based around the fact that they're able to exploit the laws, based around the fact that they have done their research. They've worked hard to make sure that they follow every law and still get their message heard by the Right to Protest Acts that are right there in the American Constitution. And even with all of the revisions that have been made ever since their group has come to prominence, they have still found ways to get there, and still found ways to do exactly what it is that they do. They gain a lot of their money from winning lawsuits. They gain a lot of their money and a lot of their attention from the media. Basically, just like what I'm doing, poking it with a stick. Fred Phelps won't be poking anybody for a long time. In fact, if anything, he's probably getting poked in wherever he's at. He once said that Gerald Ford and Saddam Hussein are both in hell, and I'm sure most Americans would agree on at least one of those. But that trinity of individuals has now finally been completed with Fred Phelps descending to the hell that he himself preached against, and he himself preached that all of us were going to. Well, Fred, you're one of us. You're one of all of us. You're one of humanity. You're one human being. One now very deceased human being. Part of me would say, and part of me would really hope that this was a picketed funeral. But you know what? I'm almost glad and hopeful that it was not. This is something where instead, just like this group, the potshots can easily be taken from afar. And once again, I think after this occurrence, we truly should just kind of ignore it. And it'll go away. And if it doesn't, just keep ignoring it. They're worthless worms. They need not your attention. I understand this is hard for some of you to hear, mainly because you are a member of the group that they are directly hating. But just like somebody else that perhaps hates you for who you are, and believe me, this is something that applies to everybody out there. Everybody out there is going to have somebody who dislikes them for what they are, what they stand for, what it is that they do. But there's also a saying that I naturally abhor, but actually applies quite nicely in this situation. Haters make me famous. You need haters in your life. Cat Williams once said that. You need to have haters in your life because that means you're doing something right. If you have 4 haters, you need to get to at least 6. You need to be doing something with your life in order to get haters. And just by being who you are, if you're attracting hate from this group, well, that means that what you're doing is very, very important in today's society. It's something that has a delicate, but at the same time, very, very important meaning. Like civil rights before it, like women's rights before it, this is the age where real change is going to be coming for our generation. Fred Phelps' death, well, I consider that a victory. The thought buffet doesn't see Fred Phelps' death as a dark day for anybody. The only person who is a dark day for is Fred, where he becomes once again one with the dirt that supposedly brought him to existence. But that's a lie. In reality, it's a cursed sperm that caused that to happen. And really, this is one birth that many people in this country probably wished ended in a back alley abortion, with both mother and son dead. But that morbid thought alone, I bid you farewell. And farewell to Fred Phelps, a sinful fuck in his own regard, who is now burning eternally in his own hell, the hell of his creation, the hell of his world, the hell he created, the hell he believes in, and the hell that he now inhabits.